Okay, next story we're going to talk about is actually something very interesting to me, and it is based on the Israel and Palestine war, which has been going on for some time between the Israelis and the Palestinians. By some time, I mean almost since the beginning of time, thanks to religious doctrine. That's the problem when two religious factions have the same piece of land that they believe is extra holy, and they're willing to fight and die for it for years and years. So, but the problem is that Israel, at least to me, denounces that Pakistan is not only a nation, but denounces really the Pakistani people, and they treat them very badly. They don't allow medicine into their disputed territories. They don't allow food, water. They kill innocent civilians. They've killed innocent protesters. This is a big problem, and one company just kind of step up, and this is how Ben and Jerry's nixed the West Bank sales while being part of a giant conglomerate, Unilever. So Ben and Jerry's and its parent company Unilever has an unusual acquisition agreement that allowed the famously liberal company to stop selling ice cream in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, even though it's created tension between the two parties. I can only imagine, because if you do anything anti-Israel, you're automatically anti-Semitic. So this is a big problem, I'm sure. So it says here that Ben and Jerry's, that Unilever acquired Ben and Jerry's in 2000, but had an agreement that an external board would be created to oversee Ben and Jerry's social mission. The board was vested with the authority to push back. On Monday, the company generated waves and released a statement. We believe it is inconsistent with our values for Ben and Jerry's ice cream to be sold in the occupied Palestinian territories. We also hear and recognize the concerns shared with us by our fans and trusted partners. That is a statement that Ben and Jerry's would approve, or that's a statement that they would put out when Ben and Jerry's would say that they were not going to be selling their ice cream in Israel or the disputed territories anymore. This is from their parent company. The statement also added that it has a licensing agreement with an Israel franchise, but it's not looking to renew it when it expires next year. It went on to say that while the ice cream will be sold in the contested areas, Ben and Jerry's will stay in Israel through a different arrangement. That's the statement that Ben and Jerry's released. So it is getting out of Israel. It is getting out of the disputed territories. Now Unilever would release this statement. It remains fully committed to our presence in Israel. We are invested in our people, brands, and businesses for several decades. It highlighted the terms of the 2000 agreement with Ben & Jerry's where they could pull out, and said it has always recognized the right of the brand and its independent board to handle the ice cream company's social missions. We also welcome the fact that Ben & Jerry's will stay in Israel. It added. Now that's the problem. Ben & Jerry's is not staying in Israel. That is very deceitful. They're in fact the member of their board. It's about the violation of the acquisition agreement that maintained the soul of the company. It cannot stop thinking, is this what happens when you have a board with all women and people of color who have been pushing to do the right thing? So the so their company wants to say that they'll remain in Israel, but they won't. Ben and Jerry's has decided to pull out of Israel and the disputed territories, which is they decided to boycott Israel, which is a very bold move for that company. It's a very bold move for anybody in a high profile position to boycott Israel. I am so proud of this. I'm so proud of Ben and Jerry's. You will not hear me say that very often, that I am proud of a multi-million-dollar corporation. But I'm proud of Ben and Jerry's. They did the right thing here, and to stand up against Israel and to make that decision.